Hey mates, and welcome to more MtMtEs. I'm your host Blind Prime, and for today we're going to be finishing up our Combiner Aerialbot Superion series. I am ecstatic to be able to bring you another combiner this year. Two combiners in 1 year. I was very happy to hear about that, and I am very happy to have finished two combiners in 1 year. Of course, with help from my viewers, I was able to do this, and I really appreciate all of you for all the support you've given me so far this year as we went on our combiner journeys. Of course, I'm talking about Devastator and Superion. Now, I don't have Devastator on the Wii Fit board today. I have my man here, Menasaur from Transformers Legacy. It's been a while since we got another combiner. We were all thinking, when Legacy came out, the next wave would be another combiner, but they took a couple of years. They did some market research, I assume, and they figured some stuff out, and they brought us Superion. And of course, next year, we're getting Bruticus, and he's my favorite. Next to Devastator, I really like Bruticus. And to those like me who have backed the HasLab project, we're going to be getting Leo Kaiser next year. And Leo Kaiser, like Devastator, is a 7-person team. But unlike Devastator, the 7th member of the team can actually combine. Sadly, Roadhauler cannot combine with Devastator, but wouldn't that be cool if he could? I think that would be cool if he could. So, today's video is going to be about comparing and contrasting these two combiners, Superion and Menasaur, and talking about the differences that they exist between, the times when it came to their skeletons and stuff like that. And we'll be discussing all this, of course, from the blind perspective. And then we'll be comparing Superion to Devastator and the Titan class of this year. Of course, I'm talking about Star Convoy. I always got to bring in Star Convoy. And we'll also be reviewing Superion from the blind perspective, from the bottom up, and talking about how it feels in the hand and those such things. We also have 86 Optimus Prime here, 86 Ultra Magnus, and 86 Megatron, as well as 86 Swoop, to just kind of get you a understanding of the scale of this particular Transformer combiner, because I think it's in the right scale. I really appreciate it. I like it a lot, and I'm not, I'll stay on that hill because I really do like these combiners, especially the fact that they stay together so well. Yeah, we'll get into more about that as the video goes on. So please, without further ado, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. All those things go a long way to helping me get more treats for Cream. And Cream's looking so thin over here. He totally needs more treats, right? Right, Cream? Yeah. He's as far in the corner as he can. He doesn't like all these giant robots standing around. Of course, the Rattler's taken up a huge chunk of the table over there that stops him from being able to sleep in another spot he used to. The Rattler's just so big. Still haven't found a place to put him. So let's kind of free myself up some space. So we're gonna move Star Convoy here over to this side of the table. Give myself just a little more space. Are you gonna be able to stand over here, or do I have to? I'm just gonna set you on the floor for now. He's a sturdy guy. Okay, that gives me some hand room. So let's talk about these two guys compared real quick. That means I've got to take Menasaur's sword away. Give me your sword. Thank you. We're just gonna set your sword down next to Superion's weapon. Okay, and straighten your arm out. Straighten your other arm out. There you are. Now, these two combiners are, of course, the Scramble City kind, and that means that they do switch their arms and legs. If you've been a fan of my channel, I've brought in Superiosaur a few times to compare him to other Transformers because, I was just having fun mixing and matching parts. And it's going to be really, really neat when we get more combiners so that we can mix and match more pieces. So you can just, remove the legs like Superion here and switch them out with Menasaur's legs. And I think that is a really, really cool thing. It's quite unique, and I really enjoy the fact that they did keep that feature. They not only did they keep that feature, but with the arms we've noticed with Vortex, that Vortex works on Superion's arm. Like I had him temporarily there as Alpha Bravo, and that's another positive on these things. You notice that some of the arm bots can combine to the other parts. Now, not all of them. The Menasaur parts and the Superion parts don't really mesh too well because of different layers in there. But I see where they have decided to go more of a standard with Superion. Like Menasaur's the prototype, Menasaur's the experiment to figure out what can go right and what can go wrong. And after figuring that out, they made Superion. Now, Superion's got a few flaws, and it's obvious that with the next one, it's going to just be that much better. And like one of the major flaws with my Superion is that my Superion has a hard time actually initiating the connection port that splits Slingshot and Fireflight. I have to use my key, as you saw in Friday's video, where I used my key to really pop that socket and allow the pieces, the jets, to separate from each other. And I have to do that with Vortex as well. I don't have to do that over here with Menasaur. He works out very well when you put these pieces on, and I think that Menasaur's connections are a bit better on that level. So Menasaur is going to get, he wins when it comes to the arm connections for these for the things on his arms. His connections are the better connections in the end, though Superion's connections are the simpler ones and easier to get engaged. It's Menasaur that wins out because of the sturdiness of it and the fact that you don't need to use a key to separate drag strip and dead end. You just can separate them. So that's something I just wanted to point out that I noticed as a major difference between the two, and maybe not something that you would have caught on yourself, or you've noticed yourself and you're like, well, that's a little annoying, because it is just a bit annoying, but it's not figure destroying annoying. It's just kind of I got to get my keys out. Okay, I wish this worked like the way it's supposed to. So let's take a look and compare them shoulder to shoulder. Interestingly enough, the shoulders are about at the same. Even with the fact that we got drag strips kind of nose sticking up, we also have Air Raid's nose here. Or are you Air Raid? No, you're Slipstream. So Slipstream's nose, not Slipstream, Slingshot's nose and drag strip's nose of his car are almost at the same level. Like, so close. I think it's actually at the same level. That's kind of neat. Now, of course, we take a look at, we're going to slide you guys over and look at the other side, because they are different. And let's see if Dead End and this one line up. No. So the nose on Superion's right arm doesn't line up with Dead End. It's a little taller than Dead End. That's kind of neat. So one of his shoulders is definitely taller than the other one. I like Superion's spiky shoulders. They're a lot of fun. Now we're going to set these guys face to face and take a look and see. There's not anything different in the sizes. They are kind of the same, though their shoulder areas are going to be on the same level. It seems like Superion's shoulders are a bit taller, but then Menasaur has these big broody tire pylon things on either side that give him kind of a bigger look, and they definitely make him taller, but Superion's head is the taller head by a smidge, but not by much, and I'm not counting the horns or the pylons. So they're not very different in height, but there are slight differences in it. When it comes to weight, that's actually a very interesting thing. Menasaur is the heavier one by a little bit, but he's still the heavier one. And I mention it being interesting because when you take all the parts of Menasaur to combine into Menasaur, you leave out some pieces, and they turn into a little sentry gun. So Menasaur doesn't even have all his pieces, and he is slightly heavier than Superion, at least as I can feel it. Now, we're going to set Menasaur off to the side and talk about Superion in depth real quick and discuss him about all the things he can do. We're going to Set Menasaur over here to the side next to Cream. There you go. And so Superion here can, he's got some pretty good stuff going on. Unlike Menasaur, Superion actually has a solid foot on the underside. It's waffled a bit, and there's definitely indents and stuff, but there's still foot there. Menasaur has a big hollow foot, and that is kind of annoying because there's less weight dispersal going on there. But it works well with Superion here. Even though he doesn't have as great of a heel as Menasaur does, his heel, I think, is still better. It's a thin, solid heel that sticks out from one side, but that is more solid than Menasaur's heel, and every time I pick up Superion, I don't need to worry about folding that heel down. With Menasaur over here, I got to make sure that his heels are connected to the underside of those cars, because every time I pick him up, his heels want to fall off if they're not connected properly. So that's definitely a bonus on Superion's case. Now, the ankle tilt, pretty good. That is decent ankle tilt. Really nice, and I like the fact that it moves so smoothly. It's not hard to access. You know, it's not clamped in there so severely you think that ankle tilt doesn't exist until you fight it and pop it open. I really appreciate how this ankle tilt works. Now, the front of his foot area has the underside of a jet, or at least I assume that's the underside of a jet. We got some little square bits, and then some little markings, and yeah, I don't actually know what that is supposed to be exactly, but I'm thinking it's got to be the underside of a jet. Though these trapdoors aren't quite as great as Menasaur's trapdoors. Like Menasaur, yeah, yours are a bit sturdier. If I press on Superion's here, they move in a little bit more than Menasaur's did. Almost as if Superion's trapdoors aren't as high quality plastic as Menasaur's, but it does feel like it is. So I don't know, but the textures on there are definitely a lot different. I get the impression that it could be the underside of a jet, but then again, it doesn't quite feel right. There's these square things here and a couple of other bits that make me go, I don't think that is the underside of a jet. I think that's something completely different. I think that's just some basic robot leg armor right there. Now, we go to the back of him. We're going to spin him around here, and we get where the jets are. We have Sure Shot, and I think it's Sure Shot, and Air Raid. And they're both down here all folded up. I do think it's neat how these how the nose cones kind of fold backwards to give him back heels up here at the top. I wasn't expecting the jets to be like this, but it works. We've got they don't actually rest on anything. They're just kind of sitting there. But they do fill the leg out quite nicely, and we've got nice folded up areas down here. Nothing really touches the ground too much, except for this guy. Nah, it all works out. I think it feels great. It's just a bit cluttered back here, and it is a shame you can't fold the wings out too much. You could fold one wing out on each side if you want, but the wings in the middle are kind of, they'll get in each other's way. But it is nice that you can have all his guns hanging out on the wings. They're not going to get in the way of anything, and that I really appreciate some good weapon storage there. So knee-wise, he's got a 90-degree knee. Yeah, nearly 90-degree knee. It's not quite a 90-degree because of the whole what's going on in the rear area. But if you pop that last joint on the back of the character, you can get a full 90-degree knee. It's just he won't be able to sit on anything because there's a bunch of jet back there. Yeah. Let's pop that piece back over the head of that character. There we go. And now something I do notice and I want to point out is that these guys like to unfold themselves from the back of the jet. Like the tail area likes to pop down sometimes if you're not careful. That joint that connection I wish was a little stronger. So that's something I did notice, and maybe you should watch out for. It does it on both of them. It's just a flaw of this mold, I think. Connection is not as sturdy as it could be. Now we're moving up here to the thighs. The thighs for him are similar to the thighs for our friend Menasaur, but we've got smoother, sleeker feeling stuff, and it feels like a kind of an aircraft wing that's been folded around a bit, even to the point where there's a joint in the corner of the thigh to just give you the impression that this is a wing that folds around. I like that impression. I mean, if that's what it's supposed to be, cool, but that's what I'm imagining it to be. And when we get up here, we got a couple of notches for combination stuff. Whenever he squeezes down into his mobile armor Bruntilda form. And then we move up here to his groin area, and let's see, do the skirts. Yeah, he has separate skirts. Always appreciate separate skirts. The skirt's got a little wing design on it, and above that we've got some vents. Really appreciate the vents in the skirt. That's fun. And then in the groin area we've got a bit of a symbol there. I don't know really what's going on there, but that feels cool. So moving up here to his main core body. Before we do, let's look at the thighs. So the articulation in the thigh can go up to a 90, and he can pull back to a 90, and then he can set it sideways to a 90 if that arm isn't in the way. Actually, I think he can go above 90. Let's put that arm upwards. Yeah, look at that. He can kick up to what is that? Like I'd say 115. 115 degrees. It's pretty good. And I like the joints in this. This is a new type of ratchet. Like, it's a softer ratchet, and it did worry me at first, but I think it's just a softer ratchet. And so I'm hoping that means that ratchet's going to stay around. And I appreciate that the side kick is ratcheted. That's really nice. Let me get up here to the body, and the body can twist at the waist, which is always useful. And then we have these really cool textures going on here. So for his ab area, we've got a kind of folded over bits of armor. We've got this little indent in there, little triangles sticking up. It's like a wedge on top of a wedge, where the wider wedges are connected to each other, and then the slopes are going down on either side. And the middle is the middle of his abs, and then it slopes down at the top to his pectoral region. And we have this cool U design here. I forgot he had this. It's this big old U that's here, and it's got some etchings into it. We got little bits of molded in, sculpted in work there. It's really nice. I think it's cool. And then on the inside of it, it's very smooth and flat, but it does have like a little peak in the center, as if it's a shirt he's wearing, and it's unbuttoned for a few buttons, and it's kind of a neat feeling for him. It's unique to have something that's not as crazy chaotic as Menasaur's chest piece. And Menasaur's chest piece has a lot going on compared to Superion's. Superion's feels more sleek and smooth and tight because he's made up of a bunch of planes. So you're not going to have all the rough textures that you get with Menasaur here. So let's bring in Menasaur real quick and take a look at that. Just kind of fun little comparison there too. We got Menasaur's chest here, and Menasaur's chest is all over the place. We've got all sorts of different textures. Yeah, there's smooth parts, like in the middle area, but he doesn't have a U shape. He's just got some big old pecs on either side that have their own unique textures, and then you come down lower, and you've got textures on either side of the ab area, and then the ab area is just this big old vent thing, and there's just all sorts of textures and things going on Menasaur's front, where there's not really that much going on Superion's. He just has a big old symbol. Right, there we go. Yeah, good. You're on your heels. Excellent. Now, coming up around here to his arms, we get the arms that can do full 360, like Menasaur. They can also pick up to a full 90 sideways. We also get a ratcheted elbow that pulls a 90, and we get a bicep swivel. So, very articulated arms right there. And then we come down here to the hands, and the hands don't really do much. Now the arm is really neat because on the inset we got we don't really have much texturing going on here. We do have a bit, but it's kind of lackluster. And there's even some waffling that I can feel in the armpit area, and that is kind of a shame. It'd be nice if there was a bit more, but they did try with the underside of the elbow. Like the inset side of the elbow has some unique textures to it. We've got a couple of divots, and it seems like there's screw holes that they tried to turn into textures. We even have some really nice etchings in there of metallic work like pistons and maybe wiring and stuff like that. So that's nice. You know, they at least did that. I really appreciate that. On the outside, we've got the jet top, which is pointed towards the sky with the nose cone, and then the underside of the jet. Now the arm does have its own little wing, and then the jet has its own wings, and you can pull out the arm's little wing on the back, and it matches up with the jet almost perfectly. Let's see. Does the other arm wing match up with the other jet almost perfectly? Yeah, almost perfectly, but not quite. But it is neat that you can just kind of have two layers of wings there. And I think that's just a fun thing to do. And then you can fold the front wing down and cover that bit and make it like a little shield. There's not really much more going on the arms when it comes to textures. We've got one plane with each of these planes feels very similar, and we talked about that in Fireflight's episode, where Fireflight and Slingshot are very similar feeling to each other, but there are distinct differences, like, for instance, the window shapes are drastically different between the two, but that is the biggest differences between the arms are Air Raid and Slingshot here, and those differences that they have, which we've gone in full detail on. Now we come up here to the shoulder area. His shoulders are very smooth and very thin compared to Menasaur's. Menasaur's shoulders are a bit more bulkier, but then again, it's Menasaur's shape. And then we go over here to Superion's face. I like the face mask that Superion has. He's got kind of a nose there. He's got inset eyes. I hope they're not light bar eyes. I hope they're just like painted silver eyes or something like that. Those are always fun. And then he's got these two little pylons on either side and a very smooth helmet. I enjoy the fact that his head isn't complicated. It's very smooth. It's very sleek. This robot feels very aircraft-like in the fact that they were bringing over the aerodynamics and the smoothness of aircrafts into this robot form, and I really appreciate that. I think overall, I've got to give this guy an A+. I believe he could have been a little better. The arm separation bit definitely cost him the S ranking. That should have been something he does, and that is kind of a little flaw. Whether it's a flaw in mine or it's just a flaw in general, I don't know. But you know that did cost him the S ranking. Overall, this is an excellent figure. I do love him. I can shake him. I can spin him upside down. You know, he's got all these ratchets. It's so nice. He is a fun combiner. And if you're an individual who has been holding off on getting combiners, but you've always wanted one, then this is a good starter combiner for you, I think. Also, he's got this crazy weapon thing. It's just a long pole thing. It took me a while to even find the 5mm port. It's kind of hidden on the back end, and you got to get your thumbnail in there and pull it out. And I don't really know. I don't remember this weapon from the show, but it's a weird one. It can fold up and do all sorts of crazy things. So it's definitely the oddest weapon I've gotten with a Transformer, I think. But overall, it feels like it's mainly just a long sniper rifle with just an eternal barrel. It's just half of its barrel's rectangles. So let's now compare Superion to a few other things. If you were just in it for the review, I guess you can end now. But if you're interested in seeing him compared to some other things, then let's begin. First and foremost, let's look and see how he compares to 86 Optimus. And Optimus, of course, is the person who went to Cybertron to find Vector Sigma and create some Transformers to assist in fighting against the Stunticons. And there we go. Optimus Prime stands almost all the way up to the top of the groin for Superion here. We got Superion can raise his arm up and just kind of hold Optimus close like their buddies. Aw. I think this is neat. So let's do something else that's all I always enjoy, and it's comparing heads. So we got Optimus Prime's head and Superion's, and there is a massive difference in head size there. I always love that, you know, the huge difference in the head sizes. So we're going to set 86 Prime off to the side, and we're going to bring in our 86 Megatron. Or actually, we'll bring in 86 Ultra Magnus first, I guess. Come on, Ultra Magnus. There you go. Who's a good Ultra Magnus? You're a good Ultra Magnus. So straighten your arms out, Superion, so they don't get in the way. And 86 Ultra Magnus comes up to the bottom of the U on the chest of Superion. And of course, Ultra Magnus and Superion are pylon buddies. They each have pylons coming out of the sides of their heads. Yeah, pylon buddies. And the noses on Superion's jets act as pylons on his shoulder tips. And then, yeah, no, they're just straight up pylon buddies. They should get along quite well. Pylon buddies. Okay, so that is Ultra Magnus. Now, where is my 86 Megatrons? Here he is. So we got 86 Megatron. I have him wielding the guns for Menasaur, because we figured, you know, why not have him using the crazy big cannons that Menasaur grants him access to. No, Menasaur does what Megatron wants. Let go of Megatron. Let go of Megatron. Thank you. We're gonna set that off to the side. All right, here we go. Straighten Megatron out. There we go. Now Megatron, of course, is taller than Optimus Prime, but not by much. And we get that Megatron goes to the top of the groin, right at the waist swivel for Superion. That's pretty cool. I think this works out pretty good. I like the size comparisons going on here. I like the difference in scale. Well, I like the fact that the scaling seems pretty appropriate. So we're going to set Megatron next to Prime over here. And grab a nice leader class figure to compare. Of course, he's in his pterodactyl mode, but I wanted to just kind of showcase a... There we go. Straighten your arms out, sir. There we are. All right, your wings, not your arms. There we go. Just kind of showcase a Dinobot with Superion, especially if the Dinobot's in his pterodactyl form. The smallest of the Dinobots is Swoop. Or the lightest of them, at least. So, there's that. Yeah, I'm not going to go in depth with that one too much. Sorry. All right, let's bring in something that's definitely going to beat Superion in size. So, Superion, you go and you're going to slide over here to the side, and there is Star Convoy. Now, Star Convoy, Superion, you go up to, let's see, your shoulders end at the elbow for Star Convoy. Yeah. You actually seem like you would be equal. I think so. Let's take a look. Lower your arms, Star Convoy, and your insane ratchets. There we go. Okay. And yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Superion here ends up being as tall to Star Convoy as Ultra Magnus is tall to Superion. That's always fun. Okay. And finally, we've got our last little comparison to do. Where are you at? Here he is. We couldn't leave this comparison out without bringing in Devastator. Almost got away from me. That's how sturdy this Devastator is. Even if he almost gets away from you, and nothing happens. There we go. Oh, yeah. There's our fun guy Devastator, and there is Superion together. Superion is definitely the smaller guy. They are not vastly different in size, but the top of Superion's head comes to the collarbone of Devastator. They are definitely a big difference in size in that front. I think that this is excellent scaling when it comes to these two. Then again, I'm a bit biased. I'm going off of old memories. I haven't seen the show personally in a long time, but I like these. I like how they're comparative in scale. I like how they work with Optimus Prime and Megatron. I like these combiners. I like them a lot, and I'm just ecstatic that we're getting them, and they're made out of such high quality stuff, and they don't fall apart on you. It didn't answer all of my dreams of the perfect combiner, but this is pretty darn close. So thank you all so much for watching this series about Superion. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed making every single one of the videos on this playlist. I have enjoyed handling this figure. I've enjoyed comparing this figure to other figures, and of course, I've enjoyed the journey of the collecting. Thank you all so much, and until next Prime, I've been Blind Prime, and this thing's sleeping over to the side of the video all the time. Is Creamed a cat. I should start calling you a potato cat. Yeah. Bye-bye for now. Mm.